The series begins in December 2020 during the peak of the COVID-19 outbreak. We see Jun training intensely in boxing. After finishing his workout, he heads to a bus stop, waiting to go back home. Suddenly, a drunk man without a mask tries to force his way onto the bus. He starts arguing with the driver and even attempts to hit him. But Jun steps in. Calm and controlled, he stops the man and deals with him gently, landing a few light, precise punches while still trying to reason with him. Eventually, the drunk man backs off and leaves. Jun boards the bus, and everyone applauds him for his courage and quick action. When Jun gets home, he overhears his mother on the phone. She's speaking to the owner of their cafe, apologizing for being late on rent and begging for just one more month. This crushes Jun. He quietly leaves the house, filled with sadness. A few days later, the Korean Boxing Championship takes place. Jun participates and fights through multiple matches until he faces a powerful opponent named Woo Jin. Woo Jin proves to be strong, landing several hits on Jun. But in the end, Jun delivers a series of devastating punches, especially a powerful blow to Woo Jin's side, a strike he's famous for. Jun wins the championship and the prize money. After the match, Woo Jin sits with his coach, who scolds him harshly for losing and gives him only a small amount of money to eat. Upset and humiliated, Woo Jin leaves. Outside, he finds Jun waiting for him. Jun invites him to eat together. Woo Jin is surprised by Jun's kindness, especially since Jun had just defeated him. Jun even offers to pay using part of his prize money. Woo Jin agrees and asks to eat meat, but Jun apologizes, explaining he can only spend a limited amount because he needs to give the rest to his mother to help pay the cafe rent. This deeply impresses Woo Jin, so Woo Jin adds his own money, suggesting they eat at a better restaurant. They sit together, talking about their lives. Woo Jin learns that Jun is 2 years younger, yet incredibly mature. They laugh together, and as Jun skillfully prepares the meat, Woo Jin is amazed by his experience. Jun reveals he has worked many jobs just to support his mother. He also shares that he only started boxing 3 years ago, practicing using car tires at first. Woo Jin is stunned. He himself has trained since childhood, yet they are nearly at the same level. Then comes another surprise. Woo Jin discovers that Jun also served in the Navy, just like him, but Jun enlisted earlier and even served in a higher unit. Overwhelmed with respect, Woo Jin salutes him. He begins treating Jun very formally, but Jun insists they act like brothers instead. And just like that, a strong friendship begins to form. Meanwhile, on the news, public anger grows over an abandoned building project that has stopped multiple times. People demand the government either complete or demolish it, as it's becoming dangerous and ruining the city's image. A meeting is held between the investor, a wealthy conglomerate family, and the bank funding the project, worth 400 billion yen. The bank demands at least 100 billion yen in repayment. Tensions rise. Suddenly, a man named Myung Kim enters. He hands out business cards, but they don't mention what his company does. It becomes clear he is a loan shark. The investor is furious, believing Myung doesn't belong there. But Myung calmly reveals that he once knew the investor's father during a financial crisis and was even invited to their home back then. Embarrassed, the investor reluctantly agrees to work with him. Myung offers the 100 billion yen, but with 3 conditions: build a bar on the hotel rooftop, build a nightclub in the basement, convert the hotel into a hospital if another pandemic like COVID-19 occurs. The investor agrees, asking for time to consult his father. Later, Myung tells his wife their plan is working. Their next move is to target small business owners struggling due to the pandemic. The next day, Myung's agents spread across the area, offering loans with interest rates between 5% and 7%, much lower than banks. They claim government support, making the deal seem safe. Desperate, many small business owners agree, without realizing there's a hidden clause that will destroy their lives. Among them, Jun's mother. Myung's men arrive at her cafe. His assistant tells her she was supposed to repay 10% of the loan within 24 hours of signing the contract. Since she missed the deadline, the interest has increased and the repayment period has shortened. Panicking, she calls Jun. He hears her distress. Then suddenly, he hears the sound of things being smashed. Jun runs, At full speed, within minutes he arrives and finds over 15 men destroying the cafe. Without hesitation, Jun fights them all and defeats every single one. He rushes to protect his mother. Just as Myung's assistant is about to strike, Myung himself arrives, accompanied by a massive fighter named Byum. Byum attacks Jun and easily overpowers him, beating him brutally until Jun collapses. Myung stops the fight. He offers Jun a job. Jun refuses. Enraged, Myung ties him up and slashes his face with a knife, leaving a permanent scar, so he will never forget. Jun is taken to the hospital. After a long recovery, the doctor tells him he needs surgery for the scar, as it could affect him later, especially since he's still young. But the surgery is expensive. Jun refuses. Woo-jin stays by his side, deeply worried. He even calls someone begging for money to help pay off Jun's mother's debt. Jun overhears this and feels heartbroken. Together, they go to a lender. They are given 100 million yen, but on one condition: they must work collecting debts from others. Jun refuses immediately, because that would mean becoming exactly like Myung. Jun walks alongside his friend Woo-jin, and the two make a firm agreement. No matter what happens, they will never do anything that goes against the ethics of a fighter. At the same time, a young woman named Hyun appears. She is secretly observing one of Myung's men from his company. As she listens to them talking about the money they've collected, she discreetly records Myung's assistant. It becomes clear Hyun is determined to expose the crimes of loan sharks and put them all behind bars. Meanwhile, an elderly man named Mr. Choi makes a phone call. He contacts a former Navy soldier, asking him to find a strong, trustworthy young man to protect his granddaughter. That granddaughter is none other than Hyeon. Mr. Choi fears for her safety because of the dangerous work she's involved in. The soldier meets several young men, but none of them impress him. Then suddenly, he receives a call from Woo-jin. A smile spreads across his face. He immediately tells him to come. Woo-jin arrives with Jun. The moment they meet the soldier, they show him proper respect because he outranks them from their time in the Navy. The soldier tells them he will recommend them to Mr. Choi, describing him as a kind man who helps people and even lends money without interest. The next day, Mr. Choi reviews their files. He is deeply impressed by both Jun and Woo-jin and decides to meet them personally. During the meeting, Mr. Choi reveals something shocking. He used to be a loan shark himself, but he left that life behind. Now, he helps people who truly need money, especially those who require expensive medical operations, and he lends it to them without any interest. He then asks Jun about his past, how he started boxing. Jun opens up. He explains that as a child, he used to watch his father abuse his mother after falling into alcoholism due to financial struggles. From that moment, Jun made a promise to himself to become strong enough to protect her. Mr. Choi then notices the scars and bruises on Jun's face. Jun reveals the truth. A loan shark did that to him. Mr. Choi comforts him and offers him a job to become a bodyguard for his granddaughter and assist her in her work in exchange for a very high salary. Jun and Woo-jin are overjoyed. They return home together. Soon after, the doorbell rings. Jun opens the door and finds Mr. Oh, one of Mr. Choi's assistants. He hands Jun 100 million yen, saying it's 2 years' salary in advance. Jun is completely shocked, then overwhelmed with happiness. He rushes inside and gives the money to his mother. She breaks down in tears of joy, thanking both Jun and Woo-jin. The next day, Jun and Woo-jin go to meet Mr. Choi again, but he tells them something unexpected. They are not officially hired yet. The final decision belongs to Hyeon. Jun is stunned. He asks what will happen if she rejects them. Mr. Choi calmly replies, they'll have to return the money. Still, he reassures him that she will likely accept them. Then leaves. Moments later, Hyun arrives. She learns that she is supposed to meet them and work with them, but instead, she treats them coldly and rudely, and even throws them out of the office. In a desperate move, Jun drops to his knees in front of her. He begs her to let him work. He explains that he already took money from Mr. Choi and used it to pay off his mother's debt. Hyun learns that Jun's mother was also a victim of fraud, just like many others, because of the hidden clauses in contracts from a company called Smile Capital. That changes everything. She finally agrees to hire them. Later, they sit together in a restaurant. Hyun explains her mission. Her grandfather now gives loans to people who truly need help, but some people abuse that system. So, her job is to investigate borrowers and confirm whether they are truly in need. She tells them about a man named Seong. He borrowed money from her grandfather, then disappeared for a year and a half. By coincidence, she later found him at a train station, now living as a homeless man. But something felt off. She followed him and uncovered the truth. He was part of a gang that impersonates homeless people. They steal identities, use ID cards to open fake businesses, and take loans under those identities. Then they vanish, leaving innocent people trapped in massive debt. Now, Hyun's mission is clear. Find out who they work for, how many IDs they collect daily, and expose the entire operation. She shows them a photo of one of Smile Capital's men. Jun's eyes widen. He recognizes him instantly. It's Myung's assistant, the same man who attacked his mother. Hyun is thrilled. Her suspicions are confirmed. She assigns them their first mission: follow suspicious individuals, but do not interfere. Just observe who they meet, how many IDs they collect. They head to a subway station where many homeless people sleep. Jun and Woo Jin secretly follow a group pretending to be homeless. They overhear them convincing real homeless people that they belong to a government charity and that they only need their ID cards to secure money for them. One by one, the homeless people hand over their IDs until one man refuses. He reveals they already took his ID before and never gave him any money. An argument breaks out. The gang surrounds him and starts beating him brutally. Jun clenches his fists. Woo Jin tries to stop him, reminding him of the plan. But Jun can't take it anymore. He rushes in. Woo Jin follows. Together they fight and easily defeat the entire group. Seong and his men flee. Woo Jin calls an ambulance for the injured man. At the hospital, they learn something chilling. If they had arrived any later, he would have died. When Hyun finds out what happened, she's furious. She refuses to continue working with them. Woo Jin apologizes repeatedly, but Jun doesn't. He stands firm. He shows her the scar on his face and tells her everything: how Myung destroyed his mother's life, how he threatened to kill her, and how in that moment, watching that homeless man suffer, he felt that doing nothing would make him worse than the monster who scarred him. Hyun looks at him and finally understands. She agrees to continue working with them. Meanwhile, Seong reports everything to Myung's assistant. He tells him that someone has been watching them and that he recognized them by their caps. The assistant makes a decision. He goes with his men to the place of a man who had borrowed money long ago. That man is Mr. Choi. Hyun sees everything through surveillance cameras. Quickly, she turns off the lights in the shop and hides with Jun and Woo Jin. They watch as the men try to break in, but fail. Then, Myung's assistant examines the building carefully. He realizes something important. There's a massive safe inside. And at that moment, he decides they will come back and break in to steal everything inside. After a while, Mr. Choi arrives, and Hyun tells him everything that happened. The moment he hears it, Mr. Choi orders her to stop her plan immediately. But Hyun refuses. Instead, she points to Jun's face, showing him the injury that was caused by the chairman of Smile Capital. The moment Mr. Choi sees Jun's scar clearly, he is stunned. He asks Jun for the name of the man who did this to him. But Jun tells him that he doesn't know his name. He only remembers that the man had a scar on his face exactly like his own. That answer throws Mr. Choi into complete shock. He sits alone, overwhelmed and sorrowful, as old memories come rushing back. He remembers the days when he himself used to work as a loan shark. Later, he had decided to leave that life behind and shut down the company he was running. The same company where Myung used to work under him. He had gathered all his employees and told them that he had chosen to repent. He promised them a full year's salary and end-of-service compensation before walking away and leaving everything behind. But that very night, Myung and his assistant Baeom decided to rob Mr. Choi's safe. When Mr. Choi learned from the building guards that someone had broken into his office, he rushed there himself to see who was trying to steal from him. There, he came face to face with Baeom and another man. Despite his age, Mr. Choi managed to overpower the two of them with ease. But then suddenly, Myung attacked him from behind and stabbed him several times. Even after that, Mr. Choi fought back. He snatched the knife and slashed Myung's face, leaving him wounded. But then Baeom regained consciousness, struck Mr. Choi with all his strength, and threw him out of the window. Mr. Choi fell before their eyes, and there seemed to be no way he could possibly survive. Byung became terrified, unable to believe he had killed a man. But Myung tried to calm him down, ordering him to empty the safe and flee with him. Then suddenly, they discovered that Mr. Choi's body had disappeared, and from that moment on, they knew one thing. One day, he would come back for them. Mr. Choi snaps out of his memories, filled with fear that his granddaughter might end up dying because of all this. Meanwhile, Yeon, Jun, and Woo Jin sit together, trying to understand how Myung managed to track them down. Eventually, they realize the reason: their caps. They were too distinctive, and anyone could easily notice them. So they decide to go eat together while thinking about what they should do next. During that time, the three of them grow closer and begin to form a true friendship. Hyun then tells them about her painful past. She says that when she was a child, she suffered from spinal cancer. When she finally recovered, she discovered that her father had died, and she was left completely alone in the world. That was when she was sent to an orphanage. She lived there for a while, but she hated it because of the cruelty and harsh treatment she faced. So she ran away and ended up living on the streets. There, she survived by eating other people's leftovers and suffered beatings and harassment from almost everyone around her. Eventually, she had no choice but to return to the orphanage. She remained trapped in that life until she turned 17. At that time, she was transferred to another orphanage, one run by Mr. Choi. He treated her with warmth and kindness, almost as if she were his own daughter. Later, he officially adopted her and gave her everything she had ever dreamed of. He was the reason her life changed completely. Jun and Woo Jin are deeply moved by her story and try to comfort her. After that, they continue eating together, sharing a rare moment of warmth and happiness. Elsewhere, Myung is seen speaking with his assistants about his grand plan for the building. He had already forced its owner to agree to build a nightclub and a bar inside it, but his real goal is far darker. He wants to turn part of it into an illegal gambling hall. His plan is to entertain powerful officials who are secretly addicted to such pleasures, record them while they gamble, and then blackmail them using the footage in exchange for money, favors, and influence no one else could ever offer him. That is why he is determined to force the building owner, by any means necessary, to accept his 100 billion yen. He also orders his men to collect the remaining debts from people, no matter what it takes. Soon after, Myung's men go after the chairman of the wealthy group that wants to buy the building. They wait until he is alone, then corner him. They beat him, strip him, and film him while forcing him to do humiliating things, creating a scandal they can use to blackmail him anytime they want. Later, Jun, Woo Jin, and Hyeon are on their way to another restaurant, but the moment they arrive, they find it completely destroyed and its owner in tears. They learn that she too had borrowed money from someone named Amy, who refused to give her more time to repay her debts. That makes the three of them furious. They decide they have to destroy Seong's operation first in order to reach the bigger bosses behind it and expose their entire scheme to the police. That night, they head to the place where Seong and the rest of the gang are staying, but one of the men notices Hyun's car and immediately calls Myung's assistant to report it. At once, they come up with a plan to trap Hyun and the rest of the group and eliminate them. They make Seong pretend that he's just going to collect homeless people's IDs as usual, then send him to the subway station. Jun and Woo Jin follow him, while Hyun waits for them in the car. Then suddenly, a huge number of vehicles arrive, packed with men. They surround Jun and Woo Jin from every direction inside the station. Hyun is horrified. She realizes instantly that their plan has failed. She quickly calls her grandfather and tells him everything. At the station, Jun and Woo Jin face the entire gang alone. After a while, Hyun joins the fight to help them. And together, the three of them manage to defeat the entire gang so completely that not a single one of them is left able to move. At that moment, Myung's assistant sees Jun's face and recognizes him. He realizes that Jun's mother is the owner of the cafe they destroyed before. Immediately, he sends Seong and his men to kidnap her. But Mr. Choi also sends his old friend, Yangji, a man who once belonged to his former gang, to watch over both homes. Yangji succeeds in rescuing Jun's mother and even cuts Seong's leg, which turns out to be his signature move in battle. Afterward, he takes Jun's mother to Mr. Choi. Soon, Jun and Woojin arrive with Hyun. Mr. Choi is furious with them. He tells them that he is ready to destroy their futures if necessary because the war they are entering will never end without someone dying. He says that the time has come for the older generation to step into this war themselves, so he begins planning with Yang Ji and another old friend, Do Yong, to wipe out Myung Kim and his entire gang. He also warns them about a man named Byom, saying he is incredibly powerful, the very man who had thrown him from the building and left him paralyzed. Then Jun tells Mr. Choi that he needs to move his money out of the library because their location has already been exposed. Mr. Choi replies that the three young people should be the ones responsible for transporting the money. Why? Because they are the least suspicious, and also because they are strong enough to fight off more than 30 men at once. In the end, Mr. Choi agrees and assigns the mission to Hyun. He tells her to go at a specific time, collect the money, and transfer it to the designated location. Meanwhile, Jun's mother prepares food for Woojin and Hyun. Hyun is especially happy to be with her. In fact, she quietly wishes that Jun's mother had been her own mother. Jun's mother treats her with a warmth and tenderness Hyun has never truly felt before. Hyun is deeply moved, and at the same time, genuinely happy. Then, after the meal, she tells Jun and Woojin to get ready, because in just a few hours, they will be moving Mr. Choi's money. The time finally comes. Jun, Woojin, and Hyun set out in a car, carrying a large number of boxes. When they arrive, Jun notices that the distance between the library and the car is too long to carry everything by hand, so he decides to look for carts inside the storage area. He heads there with Woojin. At the same time, one of Myung's men is already waiting, watching Hyun, planning to catch her alone, and the moment she steps out of the library, Myung's assistant attacks her. He quickly overpowers her and ties her up. Suddenly, Byom appears, the only man among Myung's crew who had ever managed to defeat Jun. The moment Jun sees him, he turns to Woojin and says firmly, "Whatever happens, don't let him go." The two of them attack together, but Byom is on another level entirely. He overwhelms them with brutal strength, knocking them down again and again. Just when things seem hopeless, Hyun breaks free. She rushes in and helps them, and together they finally manage to tie Byom down. They quickly rush back toward the money, but on the way they realize something terrifying. Myung's assistant has escaped, which means they are now in serious danger. They immediately begin gathering the money and loading it into the car. Jun stays behind, guarding the largest portion of the cash, while the others retrieve the rest from the safe, which turns out to be filled with gold bars. The three of them prepare to leave. But suddenly, Myung's vehicles surround them from all sides. Myung is determined to steal the money so he can repay the building costs and carry out his blackmail plan against powerful officials. Hyun quickly calls Jun. "Follow me. Do exactly what I do." She drives straight through Myung's cars, and Jun follows right behind her. A high-speed chase begins. They fight their way through the gang along the road until suddenly Hyun's car is destroyed. She and Woojin jump out quickly, carrying the heavy bags filled with gold bars, but the weight slows them down badly. The gang closes in behind them. Jun rushes to block the attackers and throws 2 boxes filled with cash to distract them, but even that isn't enough. Hyun and Woojin realize they can't keep running with the gold. They are forced to drop the bags and run. They finally reach Jun's car and escape. After some time, they arrive safely to Mr. Choi. He doesn't even ask about the money. His only concern is, "Are you all safe?" Later, Mr. Choi sits with his old friend Yang. He confesses something heavy. He regrets staying silent about Myung all those years. He explains that after Myung took his money, he disappeared for a long time. But later, he heard that Myung had built a massive company using his bonds and his stolen wealth. Mr. Choi apologizes to Yang for stopping him from taking revenge back then. Then he learns that Byom is still being held in his warehouse. He decides to leave him alive, for now, and assigns someone to keep watching him. Because he is certain of one thing, Myung must have a private hospital and where he treats his injured men secretly so doctors won't report them to the police. Meanwhile, Jang, Myung's assistant, returns to the company and reports everything that happened, apologizing for failing. Myung orders his other assistant, Jun Min, to leave the room so he can speak to Jang privately. Then he reveals his suspicion. Byom was intentionally left alive so they could track where he would be taken for treatment. So Myung decides to plant his own men inside that hospital, disguised as nurses. He also orders Jung to monitor Jun closely. Because Jun used to be a police officer, and that makes him dangerous, he could uncover everything. Myung predicts that Jun will send one of Mr. Choi's men, most likely Do-young, who is highly skilled with motorcycles and deadly fast, so he orders them to trap him. At that moment, Jun is sitting in Mr. Choi's house. Mr. Choi calls him to talk privately. He tells him something unexpected. "You are free from your debt. You protected my money." He even offers to reward him, to help him open a restaurant in a peaceful place where he can live with his mother. Jun thanks him deeply, but refuses. He insists on finishing the mission to the end. Otherwise, he feels he would never repay the kindness he received. Mr. Choi smiles and accepts his decision. Soon after, Jun, Woo-jin, and Hyun meet with Mr. Choi's allies. They finalize the plan to destroy Myung Kim and his entire organization. Do-young decides to take Hyun with him because of her excellent motorcycle skills. Their mission: eliminate Jun Min, the most important member of the gang and the one most capable of ruining their plan due to his strong connections with the police. Meanwhile, Yang takes Jun and Woo-jin with him. Their mission: infiltrate the hospital. The plan begins. After a full day of training together, they move into action. Do-young starts tracking Jun Min. He waits until he's alone, then charges at him on a motorcycle and attacks with a knife, but suddenly Myung's men appear. They had been waiting for this exact moment. They surround Do-young. Just as he's about to be captured, Yeon arrives and saves him. The two of them escape together. At the same time, Yang, Jun, and Woo-jin arrive at the hospital. They wait until Jang appears, then move quickly and kidnap him before the disguised gang members notice. They tie him up and take him to an old warehouse. There, they begin interrogating him. After a while, Mr. Choi arrives. He convinces Jang to cooperate. He tells him they can send a message to Myung using Jang's photo and secrets, making Myung believe Jang betrayed him. Then Myung would send his men to kill him. But Mr. Choi offers him a deal. If he tells them everything, they will protect him, treat his injuries, send him far away, and even give him whatever money he wants. Jang agrees, and he starts talking. He reveals that his role was to handle smaller operations, like filming scandals of powerful or famous people to force them into taking loans. He explains that the latest victim was the chairman of a wealthy group who wanted to acquire a hotel but was missing 1 billion, so he was convinced to borrow from Myung through a government contact. Jang then reveals Myung's master plan: build a bar and gambling hall inside the hotel, record officials while they gamble, exploit them as much as possible, then report them to the police. Once the scandal explodes, the hotel will be shut down and put up for sale, and Myung will buy it for a much lower price. He also admits something darker. He is responsible for the murders. He handles everything, removes suspicion from Myung, and shuts down any police investigations. Mr. Choi asks him one final question: "Where are the videos stored?" Jang replies, "There is a special room, but no one can open it, because it requires scanning a vein from Myung's arm, and if Myung senses any danger, he can erase everything remotely from his phone. Worse, if anyone tries to break in incorrectly, the system will trigger a liquid mechanism that will completely destroy everything inside." Mr. Choi asks another question: "How does Myung dispose of bodies?" Jang answers, he throws them into a massive fish tank and leaves them there until the fish completely consume them. Finally, Mr. Choi asks, "Where is Myung's safe?" Jang replies, "Only one person knows, Byom, because he is the one Myung trusts the most, even more than a brother." At that moment, Myung learns what happened to Jun Min. He immediately realizes that Do-young is behind it, so he decides to hunt him down, along with Yang and Mr. Choi. Myung begins by blackmailing a police officer, forcing him to track the route Do-young took after leaving Jun Min's garage. The officer stays up all night, terrified, because if he fails, his own brother will be killed. Finally, he manages to trace Do-young's home address. He sends it to Myung. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi and the others gather together, enjoying a rare moment of peace and happiness. Later that night, everyone returns to their homes. Do-young goes back to his wife, who is in the final month of pregnancy. They are expecting a baby girl. Before sunrise, Myung and his men arrive. They knock on the door. Before his wife can open it, Do-young looks out the window and realizes the truth. Myung has found him. He quickly tells his wife, "Call the police, lock the door, don't come out, no matter what happens." Then he steps outside to face them alone. Du-young fights bravely against Myung and his men, but eventually he is stabbed multiple times across his body. As he lies dying, Myung leans in and says, "If you tell me where Yang and Choi are, I'll let your wife live." Hours later, Yang is seen heading to his restaurant, but as soon as he enters, something feels wrong. His partner is missing. Then, he finds him, dead, lying in a pool of blood. Suddenly, Yang walks into the kitchen and finds Myung waiting for him. Myung demands to know where Mr. Choi is. Yang learns the horrifying truth. Du-young is dead, and so are his wife and unborn daughter. Rage consumes him. Yang attacks Myung with everything he has, but Myung has hidden blades in his shoes. Yang is wounded again and again. Still, he fights back, using a longer knife to keep distance. They clash violently until finally Myung overpowers him and kills him with multiple stabs. Meanwhile, Jun secretly moves his mother to an orphanage for safety, since their home is no longer secure. Hyun drives them there, while Mr. Choi and Woo Jin remain at the house. As Woo Jin is eating, he notices something strange outside. He alerts Mr. Choi. They check the surveillance cameras and see it. Myung and his entire gang have surrounded the house. Mr. Choi tells Woo Jin to take him quickly to the basement. There's a gun hidden there, but Woo Jin doesn't make it in time. He is forced to face the gang alone. They are armed. He is not. Even now, Woo Jin refuses to break his principles as a fighter. He uses only his fists. Meanwhile, Mr. Choi reaches the basement, retrieves the gun, and begins shooting several of the attackers. Then he calls out for Woo Jin. But it's too late. Woo Jin has been stabbed multiple times. Fatal wounds. He collapses. Mr. Choi sees him fall, and rage explodes inside him. He attacks Byung with everything he has and breaks his back. Then Myung arrives. He looks at Mr. Choi and says calmly, "Let him die peacefully. He once meant a lot to me." And then, he kills him. Myung takes all the money from the safe and sets the house on fire. A short while later, Jun and Hyeon return, only to see smoke rising everywhere. They rush inside. Jun finds Woo Jin lying in blood. He lifts him immediately and runs outside. Hyeon runs to her grandfather, but collapses when she sees him. She tries to wake him, but Jun already knows. He's gone. There's nothing they can do. He pulls Hyeon away and rushes Woo Jin to the hospital. At the hospital, doctors fight to save Woo Jin. He is bleeding heavily. His blood type is rare. By coincidence, Jun has the same blood type. Without hesitation, he donates blood. 1 bag. Then he begs for another, but the nurse refuses. It's too dangerous. Jun breaks down in front of her, begging, crying, desperate to save his only friend. Afterward, he goes to sit with Hyun, but suddenly, she disappears. After some time, the doctor returns. The surgery was successful. Woo Jin will live. Time passes. Jun and Woo Jin go to live with Mr. Oh, Mr. Choi's assistant, in a distant city. For months, they train relentlessly, pushing themselves to become stronger, until one day, they decide. It's time. They will return and destroy Myung Kim. Mr. Oh agrees. He gives them the last of his savings, emergency money Mr. Choi had hidden. He also gives them his car and tells them to be careful. Jun and Woo Jin return to the city. They stay in a room that once belonged to Mr. Choi's granddaughter, Mando. Then they begin their plan to find all of Myung's enemies and unite them. They approach a loan shark who had been scammed by Myung's fake companies, but he refuses. His life matters more than revenge. So they move to a bigger target, the chairman of the wealthy group, the same man Myung had blackmailed using a scandalous video. The chairman is terrified. His reputation is on the line. He wants to resist Myung, but can't. His father refuses to let him borrow money from Myung, and he's trapped. Then suddenly, he receives a message from Jun and Woo Jin. They want to meet, to form a plan, to destroy Myung's empire. He agrees. He meets them, along with a police officer named Diango, who is part of his family. They sit together, drink, talk, build trust. Then they finalize a bold plan. They will hack Myung's system while he is at the company and delete all the videos stored in his safe. Without those videos, Myung loses his power. A cybercrime specialist joins them. They install a device that forces Myung's phone to connect to Wi-Fi. The day arrives. Myung comes to sign a contract. His device connects to the network, but they discover he has a second phone. The chairman steps in. He threatens Myung. No contract, unless you delete the video yourself. Myung agrees. He takes his phone, connects to Wi-Fi, and pretends to delete the video. At that exact moment, the hacker successfully destroys all the devices inside Myung's vault and copies all the data. Now, Officer Diango has a full list of everyone involved in Myung's crimes. He rushes back to the police station. There, he finds a lieutenant still working late. He tells him, "I'm working on a huge case. I'll send you everything tomorrow. It's about a major loan shark named Myung." The lieutenant is thrilled, but the moment Diango leaves, the lieutenant makes a call to Myung. He tells him everything. Myung offers him 100 million yen for the information, and even more if he can access Mr. Choi's data. The lieutenant agrees. He waits for the files, and manages to hack into them. He even tracks down Mr. O's location. Meanwhile, Myung returns home. He learns what happened to his vault, but strangely, he doesn't seem worried, because he already has another copy. On the other side, Jun and Woojin decide to return all of Mr. Choi's money out of respect for him. They begin gathering information about Byom, the only person who knows the location of the safe. While searching for him, they are suddenly shocked by a photo, Mr. O tied up. Moments later, they receive a call from Byom. He tells them to meet him at a specific location and promises that they will find Mr. O's dead body there. When Diango learns what happened to her grandfather, she insists on going with them. She prepares her bow, revealing that she is highly skilled in archery. At the same time, Woojin calls the Navy soldier who originally introduced them to Mr. Choi. The moment he hears that Mr. Choi is dead and Mr. O has been kidnapped, he immediately agrees to help. They all head to the meeting place. There, they find Byom waiting for them, ready to kill them. But Jun is no longer the same. After months of training, he attacks Byom with overwhelming strength, not giving him a single chance to strike back until he knocks him unconscious. They ask the Navy soldier to interrogate him about the location of the safe. Then they search everywhere for Mr. O, but he's nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, the sergeant learns what's happening and sends police units to the location. But because of the corrupt lieutenant working for Myung, the plan fails. Myung's men learn that the police are on their way, and Mr. O disappears completely. Jun and the group return to Byom to interrogate him again. But they are shocked by his endurance. Even under extreme torture, he refuses to speak. Then suddenly, he bites off his own tongue, so he can never reveal anything. Jun is horrified. Despite everything, he refuses to let anyone die. He immediately decides to take Byom to the hospital. At the same time, the sergeant finally obtains official warrants to arrest Myung and all his men after analyzing the data on his phone. The police raid begins. Many of Myung's men are captured, but Myung himself escapes at the last moment. Now furious, Myung decides to take revenge. He sends the compromising video to the chairman of Group L, reminding him that he is still under his control. Then he targets the sergeant. He secretly poisons the drink the sergeant drinks every day. He also hires a car to run over the cybercrime officer, killing her. With that, he eliminates everyone responsible for exposing him. The sergeant realizes he has been poisoned. In desperation, he rushes into a shop, eats salt, and forces himself to vomit, saving his life. At that moment, Jun and Woojin receive a message revealing Mr. O's location. They prepare themselves and secretly leave without telling Diango, worried about her safety. But she discovers them and insists on coming. The three of them head to the location. There, they find Myung himself, surrounded by his entire gang. They are heavily armed. This time, Jun and Woojin learn from their past mistakes. They grab anything they can use to defend themselves. A brutal fight begins. Myung threatens them. "If you don't surrender, I'll kill Mr. O." Suddenly, Diango appears. She fires an arrow and hits Myung in the arm. Myung and his gang are forced to retreat. Jun and the others succeed in rescuing Mr. O. He thanks them deeply for everything they've done and returns home with his granddaughter. The next day, the sergeant, Jun, Woojin, and the chairman of Group L meet to plan their next move. Myung has disappeared completely. Jun remembers Myung's assistant, the one who told them everything earlier in exchange for being allowed to escape. They try to find him, and eventually track down his number. They send him money to get his attention, and it works. When he calls them, he demands a deal. He will reveal the only place Myung plans to escape to and how he will do it. But in exchange for 1 billion yen, the chairman agrees. Once he receives the money, the assistant reveals the truth. Myung will escape on a cargo ship heading to Vietnam, carrying the remaining money with him. He gives them the shipment number and even provides a contact who can help them board the ship. The moment arrives, Jun and Woo Jin board the ship. They split up to search. Woo Jin finds Byum. A final fight begins, but this time, Woo Jin defeats him just as easily as Jun once did. At the same time, Jun finally faces Myung. All his anger explodes, everything Myung did to him and his mother. The fight is long and intense. Myung is experienced, skilled. Jun struggles to find an opening, until finally, he uses a powerful strike with a metal bar and knocks Myung unconscious. But instead of feeling victorious, Jun feels sad, because he used a weapon. And that goes against everything he believes as a fighter. Woo Jin comforts him. If we lose our way, we'll find it again, together. After that, they recover the shipment, filled with gold bars. The chairman of Group L arrives with his yacht and takes them safely away. Meanwhile, the police arrive at the ship and finally arrest Myung and Byum. In the end, Jun and Woo Jin decide to use the money to build a massive hospital under the sponsorship of Group L. They name it after Mr. Choi. And they make a promise to treat people for free and fulfill his dream. The chairman rewards them generously, giving each of them 2 gold bars, thanking them for everything they've done. He asks them to stay in touch, because he knows he will never find friends as loyal and honorable as them. Jun and Woo Jin are happy. They got justice for Mr. Choi and found a new purpose, and with that, the series comes to an end. Subscribe for more videos like this one, tap the bell icon, and don't forget to like the video. Thanks for watching.